Okay, hi. So, there's a video that I've been wanting to do lately or have on this channel, and something I've actually been actively been wanting to channel myself, but been having some resistance to it. And you guess what that thing is just by reading the title. But I noticed that there was some resistance to this topic within my being, and I'm thinking if this is something that I'm wanting to do for other people to hmm, if one day or pretty much soon I've been thinking of doing readings for other people and things for other people, journeys for other people, channeling for other people, healing or guided healing. I'm not exactly the one doing the healing in these healings, I'm just guiding, but all that stuff for other people. Then I'm going to have requests of people wanting to communicate, or me communicate with their deceased loved ones. And this is something that I've done for myself before, but I kind of left it in that one moment that I did it, and never, um, I guess, never explored it again. I kind of just left it there. So this is me actively feeling pulled to explore it again. And on my Instagram, one of the first videos I ever did actually was me in a car talking and having a hard time dealing with the. I found out that one of my, I could refer to them as a childhood friend, had passed, and not too long ago from when I figured out. So it was pretty interesting, and there was of course, a lot of emotions that came up with it, and I dealt with what I was feeling during that day, and then some next days later, I ended up communicating to the person and actively reaching out to this deceased loved one to send some love to their transition from this human to the human world and being in this physical, to transitioning to what is after death. And I left it there. I didn't again explore the idea of this, or that I could do that, and I felt some resistance lately about it. I even had a dream of the deceased person again, that there's something, well, because of the context of the dream, I'm noticing there's something I'm still working with this person, and this person is working through me too lately. So I need to restructure my thoughts. I'm not all over the place. This is something that I should definitely try these videos out with, how it is doing it like this, where I just think of something to do and just come in fresh, or if I actually write down and plan what I want to write, or write out what I'm planning on talking about. But anyways, the resistance. Why would I feel resistance towards speaking to, not even just speaking to loved ones, but more just talking about the doings of the speaking to deceased loved ones, and that we could all do it, and the actively speaking to loved ones, that's something that even people outside of me have resistance to, and it's declared as something that's evil or satanic or witchcraft, or call you actively being a witch. And I'm aware of that, and there's a part of me that doesn't really care, but there is a part of me that feels some type of guilt about it. And I guess this is where I'm starting to feel into my being and dive deeper into where my mind is at with this, and where this resentment is at with this. And I am wanting to speak again to this old friend that I have and work with them, and maybe even describe how I'm even doing that within this video. But what I do understand about when people pass on, it's a passing, it's a transition. I have an understanding that these people have never really left us. They're always around, and still you're still working through them, and they're working through you, and they're becoming in tune with a lot of different aspects of themselves that they might have not felt or been aware of throughout the human experience that they lived. But them being within another reality, another realm of existence, the what's after, death, the transition. They're becoming more in tune with, well, after they deal with the understanding that they passed and reflect on what once was within this lifetime. It's a lot easier in that place after the transition to connect to what is after this and what is outside of this that people don't usually feel into, like what are we and what's after this, and source creation and stuff like that, and higher selves. You start to become more in tune with that, and you can in the living. You don't have to pass to become connected with that, especially if people who get into astral projection, which definitely might be another video of mine. But the passing of death, these people are still very much aware and very much probably even closer to us in that space than they are here, because they can communicate with us in a different way. They can guide you in a different way. You can guide them in a different way within this new perception that they're in, within this new space that they're in. So these are all things that I'm aware of, but there is still some type of resistance in talking about that, or talking about, hey, I'm talking to, communicating with someone who has passed on. That's not something that's, honestly, it's not something that there's a certain group is resonant with or accepting of, but really people are becoming more accepting of, there is something deeper or something outside of us. Angels, angel numbers, getting signs from your guides and your ancestors, and understanding that, hey, maybe there is something after this, and maybe this person that I lost physically, I can still feel them or still speak with them in a way that I didn't understand I could. There's an inclination to being curious about these things now within our collective. But before, it was something I just kept internally, because like, okay, well, there is also the other side of it that's not exactly too accepting of these type of things. So I just won't talk about it. And the guilt and the shame, why was that? Was that about? Well, why would I feel shame in speaking to someone who's passed? I guess there's something about permission, and not exactly my permission, because in this space, you would immediately know if a being is accepting of a request or accepting of the giving or receiving of something, and connecting to that being. You will know if the being isn't wanting to connect there, if there's a blockage, if you start getting used to what it feels like to connect. And it's not exactly about me having I'm feeling guilty about the permission that I'm getting from this situation. But if people are having some idea of permission, like, it's vulnerability. That's basically what the root of it is. It's vulnerability. How vulnerable are people who are watching me do this are to this topic, and why does that matter so much to me? Well, when people aren't exactly vulnerable to these things, there's a judgment that can come with that, and I guess I feel those things a lot. I feel how people would perceive this, even if I didn't do it yet. But who am I, and who am I going to be? Am I going to acknowledge that this is something that I can do, and this is a part of me, this is a gift that we all have, and I understand that I can actively do it within this point of my lifetime, and I could teach other people how to do that? Will I acknowledge that that is myself, and move forward with all these goals that I've had about doing readings for people and connecting to people's loved ones when people can't feel like they can, and connecting to deeper parts of and aspects of other people within whatever elements you have, or whatever struggles, or even if it's something that isn't a struggle, but just you want to find the love or the energetic side of this thing rather than the physical. If I can do these things, shouldn't I just honor what I am, who I am within this lifetime, and teach other people you have this too in your own unique way, and just do it? So calming down here. So there's a accepting of what I am, and this is a pretty bad spot to 10 minutes in, but if you're also wondering who I am, my name is Isaiah, by the way, and I'm a psychic, and I do psychic journeys and psychic channelings for myself and for other people. If anybody wanted to have a psychic reading journey where I go through a journey within their energy body and find any ailments or specific intentions they had with ailments that they have, mental, physical ailments, emotional struggles, or just simply wanted to feel how their energy body felt. If you wanted to speak to a deceased loved one, anything. You can speak to anything. I could speak to that guitar behind me, the plants, especially the plants behind me. This camera's inverted, so the things that plants behind me, anything. And we can do this. We all can do this. This is something that every single human being in existence has, but some people aren't inclined to it. And I notice that I'm more of someone who is inclined to it, so why not use that gift? And a gift is just something that you are aware of that you can do, and you allow yourself to do it. So I'm going to allow myself to do this and allow myself to be what I am and do it. So I'm doing this for me and for you, and this is breaking down any type of resentment I had towards this, which was definitely a human mind ego thing. That definitely wasn't something my soul definitely was expressing. It was more an ego thing, but I definitely was a part of some part of this video wanted to actually channel the deceased loved one that I mentioned, and I feel this is a good time to do that. So, and how is that something that I do? Well, everybody has a specific soul signature, which is a gift, by the way, about being in the human experience. We have individuality here, so we are all a part of the oneness, all a part of this together in unity thing that all came from one specific consciousness. If we all came from that one source consciousness, then we are all pretty much reflections of each other. But we have the gift of individuality and personality and uniqueness, but still also can come into unity. But since we have that individuality, that means that we also have soul signatures, things that mark us as who we are. If we were to think of an important person within our life, a parent, a friend, a best friend, a significant other, someone you love pretty dearly, what in your being would make you think of that person without thinking of anything related to them physically? If you took away their physical identity, if you took away their voice, if you took away their name, what would call their identity still into your mind? What would make you think of them? There's a certain signature, things that make up this signature that has to do with their vibration, how you feel when you're around them. The energy that they express, the emotions that you feel when you think of this person, all these things make up the energetic signature. And when you feel into that thing, you are connecting with that person when you're not even with them. And this is something that's even prominent, or probably more prominent, when people pass, because the person that has passed, that's the only way they have to communicate with you now. So it's the strongest way to communicate with them. So I'm going to connect to... Now, when I connect to this person, their energetic signature, what comes to me first is a sense of sadness and a sense of almost like I'm being irritated or annoyed, slightly. But it's a build-up. It is starting really small and just gradually getting there and forming itself into feeling annoyed. But am I annoyed because of the sadness that's here, that's more prominent than what is the feeling of being annoyed? There is also a relationship in this space with time and what feels like missing out of something, being left out or missing, and time passing by, and you missed out on so much. There's a heaviness to this, and it's saddening. I'm seeing an image of this friend driving in a car, and I'm in the back seat of this car and just watching them drive, and what's being felt when I first connected to this, it's still prominent in this image of me driving with this person. And this is reminding me of the dream that I had with them, where again we were driving somewhere, but it wasn't too great of a dream. It was, in fact, a lot of the emotions that I've been feeling connecting to this to their signature was prominent in that dream. It was prominent within my being towards them. But I don't know if that's the case within this image. Am I sad with them? Am I feeling that I missed a lot with them? Do I feel like I'm annoyed with them? Or is it the circumstance of their passing? And this is just something that they're getting me through. And of course, again, in the image, they're the ones who are driving, and I'm just in the back seat, allowing them to drive us somewhere, to be the guide. And there's a big, me coming into recognizing that is starting to make me realize that there's a really big sense of this person becoming somewhat of a guide for me, a spirit guide, someone who's guiding me still, again, after their passing, still guiding me through things. And something they're guiding me through now is there's still some things left behind within what you've perceived as my passing. And you will be able to understand the deeper meaning of what it means for someone to pass. You will understand that that person is still there. But there is also another side of that where you need to feel that this honestly did make you sad. It made you sad and annoyed with time and what you missed, and that maybe you could have done more, and maybe I could have said more, and I didn't take advantage of what once was. And why am I now trying to... Why didn't I allow myself to have somewhat of a communication before? And that's the build-up of what is the annoyance, which will turn into anger. But I'm being called by them to just take a breath. And take a breath. And it's okay. And it's just a reminder for me and for everybody else that them being here for us in this way is still as significant as if they were here in spirit, and it's probably even more significant because they are really guiding me through things in a different sense of when they were here. There was never any spiritual inclination or type of bond that we had in spirit when they were physically here. It was more just a really human-based dynamic. And there was also struggles within that human-based dynamic, as there were moments where we weren't talking at all, and where we kind of just went on our own paths in life. And they brought annoyance out of me in the physical as well within that bond. But in this, when they were here physically, I didn't know any of that. I didn't really know much of how it was affecting them either. But in this space, I get to feel so much more than what was just here. And if they were still here, you could still feel this, but this is allowing me to actually work through this with an aspect of them that's here with me, working through me. And it's having a lot to do with just feeling and understanding they're still here, and you can connect to that signature that you feel when you're there, and just allow what comes to you, let it come to you. And if there's feelings of sadness, let yourself feel that. Let yourself hold this space and see what just comes next. And me holding this space, allowing myself not to exactly run away from this or to avoid it or not entertain it, is allowing the stuff to release and to really see them for what they are. And there's the image shifts from this car image, and I'm seeing them now as a light being that's pretty overwhelming because of how powerful their presence is now, compared to what I recognize their soul signature to be before, which reminded me of their human living presence here on Earth. This is a huge shift that I'm connecting to now, which is something that's way higher than this and beautiful. And she steps forward and touches my heart with her light body hands. And the sadness turns into rain. It's being expressed as rain, just letting it fall and then just washing away. But it's coming in a lot heavier than it was before, but the sadness here is a bit different. It's not sadness that's attached to the loss of this person, but more just that I feel like I'm reuniting with them again. Not just with them, but this aspect of them that I didn't feel before. I'm being called to leave it there, and that's all I'm being called to share. But even still, I'm still in the space and still feeling all of this, and I think that's just something I'm gonna have to do for a bit, is just to feel this. But if you enjoyed this video and watched to the end, thank you so much. And this is not the only video I'll be making in this type of way. I'm getting somewhere here, and I'm going to be entertaining this idea a lot more, and I'm still progressing within my journey. I'm still progressing with my own identity of self, and the more I find what my identity is of self, the more I'm sharing that with other people, and even I could do this for other people, not just for myself. But for now, I'm flowing with where my journey has taken me, and it's led me here. So again, thank you so much, and take care.